Let's call this meeting to order. This is the Livingston Parish Council meeting for October 13th, 2022, 6:08 p.m. Could everyone stand, please? Lead us in a prayer.
Yeah. Heavenly Father, Lord, we just want to thank you for looking over us and keeping us, Lord, because we need and acknowledge our need for you. Lord, we pray for each one of the council members and elected officials, Lord, that you would give them wisdom, knowledge, and discernment to make good decisions for the people that they represent. And Lord, we promise to give you all the praise because you alone are worthy. And it's in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Mr. Talbot, lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Steele, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Talbot?
Here.
Mr. King?
Here.
Mr. Mack?
Here.
Mr. Wascom? Absent. Mr. Girlinghouse?
Here.
Mr. Ard?
Here.
Mr. Harris? Absent. Mr. McMorris?
Here.
Mr. Delat?
Here.
Okay, I'd like to take this time and get everyone to silence their cell phones, please, or turn them off. Any public input, anyone want to address any item? Anyone wants to address any item on the agenda, just raise your hand, acknowledge, and we'll call you to the mic, and you can have your say. So this is the first time I've chaired a meeting like this in 5 years, I think. We're going to follow just it's a little different. I think we're going to stick to parliamentary procedure, which is Robert's rules. I'm going to try to be as strict as we can on that. That's the way it should be done. Having said that, just a few points. When you call to the front, I'm going to need your name and your address. You don't have to give your street address, just the city and the state and your name. And chance to speak if they choose to. If you signed in, of course, one of the rules here, I think you get 4 minutes if you signed in, 2 minutes if you didn't. So everyone's going to get a chance. Please don't repeat what someone else has said. The council has heard, we're just for time, just to be expedient. We get it. Everybody's passionate about certain things. And we want to respect you, and at the same time, we're not going to let the councilman overtalk you. We'll put it into that. When you have the floor is yours. And just one more thing too, just the chatter in the audience. If you're going to talk to someone beside you, I guess my mom would call you use your church voice. Just whisper, because it is distracting. And so just kind of want to admit that if you want to have a conversation, just please stand up and go outside, have it, and then come back in. That's all I ask. We want to be respectful for each other. I will make sure that the council is respectful to each other and to you. Okay? All right. Item 7, discussion of termination employee. Mr. Ard.
Yes, we had a problem this past week with employee basically breaking policy and procedures. So because of it, HR came and we had to terminate Ms. White, so we have to make a vote for that. So I will make the motion that we uphold that and terminate Ms. White.
Any discussion from the audience? Any discussion from the council?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to be brought to everyone's attention. I have dealt in this situation a lot of times, and Jeff had called me for some advice also. And it's my understanding Louisiana Revised Statute 42:17A1 deals with termination of government employees. And it's my understanding, what I've quoted, As she should get opportunity to have executive session, I guess is what I'm asking. And the chairman has told me he has tried to do that, contact, and hasn't been able to do that. So I just want that to be brought up, that it's my interpretation that this has to be done in an executive session. And if you allow me to read why. It says, if discussing the character or the professional competence or the physical or mental health of a person, Louisiana Revised Statute 42:17-8-1 gives her an opportunity to do that in executive session.
Okay.
So I'm just wanting to make sure that we gave her that opportunity.
I address that?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
And just to address that, Vice Chair, Mr. Girlinghouse has sent texts trying to reach out to her. Basically, he's been blocked. I have sent a letter to her asking her to contact me so that we can discuss this, and we've had zero communication.
Anyone else?
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely, Mr. Talbot.
What were the reasons Ms. White was terminated? You want to read what y'all got her to sign or what she didn't sign?
So there's a letter that everyone signs when they're hired on. It says acknowledgement and acceptance to use of policy. This form is to acknowledge receipt of and compliance of Livingston Parish acceptable use and policy. So this is everyone that hires on with us has to acknowledge that all the policies and procedures was given to them and read. So we have some that were highlighted that they signed. Says all employment and compensation of Livingston Parish Council is at will, which means that your employment can be terminated with or without cause and with or without notice at any time at the option of either the Livingston Parish Council or yourself, except or otherwise provided by law. Employees under direct council supervision, each employee under direct supervision of the parish council are also subjected to personnel policies set forth in the Livingston Parish Policy and Procedure Manual. So all of that, and then the policy that was broke was malicious and bullying on social media, and it was actually towards a councilman, and pretty much whether the councilman wants to make a big deal of it or not, it is a policy that was broken.
So let me ask you a question, Mr. Ard. So the councilman was her stepdad, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, did her stepdad file a complaint with HR?
Just asked us to look into it.
Actually, no, Ms. Stepdad didn't ask HR to look into it. HR sent her stepdad a text message. And her stepdad called HR to ask what the text message was about. And her stepdad was told what it was about, and he asked that she be counseled. You received that you received the message from Jennifer that I requested she be counseled. So here's my question. If her stepdad wasn't a councilman, would anybody have cared about the text messages? And if a councilman was not her dad, would anybody have cared about the social media posts, I guess is what I'm saying. So the deal here is it's a personal matter. It's not a business-related matter. It's a personal matter. So let me just be honest with you. As her stepdad, she can't bully me. She was not insubordinate, because there's an item on this agenda later on tonight that she did the research and put on the agenda for me after social media post was made. So when she walked through that door, she did her job as a deputy clerk. So her stepdad doesn't feel like she bullied anybody, and they don't feel like that her actions were with respect to a councilman. Her actions were with respect to her dad. Whether her dad was a councilman or not is irrelevant.
Finish?
Right now, let's see what you
So
got to say.
when HR called me and told me that procedures and policies were broke, they asked me what I wanted to do, and I told them it's very simple: follow the rules. I don't care what employee it is or who they are. If they broke a policy and procedure, you treat this person just like you would any employee that works for this parish. I gave no direction to fire, to council, or anything. I said, follow policy and procedures, and I was told, well, if this was anybody else, they would be fired.
Okay, so why are we having this meeting tonight? She has received her severance check. What is this meeting about? She has not been allowed to come back to work. She has received a severance check. Why are we having this farce of a vote?
We have
If
to.
you've already had, make sure she's fired.
Well, we have to have the vote.
Why? Did you poll this council before you fired her?
I did.
Oh, so you did a walk-in poll? You went ahead and polled everybody outside the law?
Is there anybody here that I did not call?
I just want to establish that you called everybody
Did.
outside of an open meeting to figure out how they were going to vote on this
I
matter.
didn't call on how they were going to vote. I called to tell them what was going on. I said policy and procedures have been broke so that y'all know what is happening.
Okay, so you fired her without a vote of the council?
I did not fire her.
Really?
HR did.
HR's not her boss.
Well, that's why I'm here right now saying that policies and procedures were broke and she needs to be terminated.
Mr. Moody,
Yes, sir.
is this an appropriate situation in this thing?
Well, your charter requires that you have the ability to hire and fire clerks, so I think it does require a vote of the council in order to terminate.
Does it require a two-third vote of the whole council, being 9 members? That's what the charter says, doesn't it?
Well, it's not real clear. It says you have to have a two-thirds vote to hire a deputy clerk.
But you can fire on a simple majority, but you got to have
It's-
two-thirds to hire them?
It's silent about what's required as far as a vote with regard to termination. So if it's silent, my opinion is that it could happen with a majority vote of those.
A majority of the people at the meeting or the majority of the 9?
The majority of those that are attending the meeting, which is
But
what
what does
Robert's
what does the
Rules of
home
Law-
rule charter say with respect to hiring?
With respect to hiring, it takes two-thirds of the council, that's all it says.
So to hire somebody, you got to have two-thirds, you got to have 6 votes, no matter if there's only 6 people at a meeting. But to fire, all you need is a simple majority of those at the meeting?
Well, like I said, that's not real clear to me. I think since it's silent on what's required for termination, I read that to mean it could happen by majority vote. To be totally safe and to make it bulletproof, it would be better to have a 6-man vote or 6-person vote on any move to terminate or hire.
So my next question is, we adopted as a council a social media policy. So what social media policy do they need to fall under? The social media policy set forth in the HR department or the social media policy of the council that we adopted?
Well, my understanding is that you've adopted a policy requires your clerks to follow the parish policy manual, and you also adopted your own social media policy. So I would say your clerks would have to follow both. So they would have to be more stringent than just a typical parish
So
employee.
when did we adopt the policy that our clerks had to follow the parish procedure manual? Because typically, our clerks work outside of comp time. There's no parish other employees that are working at 1 o'clock in the morning getting comp time, but we definitely have a clerk that does that. So my question is, does our clerk follow the parish policy all the time, or when it's convenient?
Not the one that can decide that. It looks to me like you'd have to follow the policy all the time.
Okay, so we have determined that Ms. White was, whatever. Can, if it is a personal matter, whether the person is a relative or a councilman or not, it is obviously a personal matter that she posted about.
Does the council or parish government have the right to take away somebody's constitutional right to free speech on a personal matter unrelated to the business of the government?
I haven't looked at what's posted, so I don't know what was personal and what was not, so I can't give you that answer. I would say.
Well, I mean, you don't have to evaluate what Ms. White posted. The question is, does parish government have the right to take away somebody's ability to post on a personal matter unrelated to business of the government? It's not what Ms. White posted, it's can they take away somebody's right to post on a personal matter?
No, as a general matter, we all have the First Amendment right for freedom of expression. But your policy was carefully crafted and designed to regulate only job-related speech.
So if Ms. White posts something outside of work hours about a relative, is that job-related speech?
Well, now you're getting into what the particular situation is. I haven't seen it.
Okay.
I would say it would be up to the council to determine that, or whoever's made the evaluation of what the violation was. I haven't been asked to weigh in on whether that's.
How many of 7 guys have seen what she's been terminated for? Who's seen it?
Just today.
Okay.
But I will say this, to clarify. I don't know if Ms. White blocked me. I don't know. But I know that I did send her a text saying, hey, and I'm paraphrasing, do you want to discuss, what's going on at the council? And there was no response.
Maybe Ms. White's been advised not to talk to y'all guys.
Well, I mean, so would you, would?
No,
Hold on.
I mean, we
hold on,
can't
guys.
address it if we don't get nobody talk.
You addressed it. You fired her.
Well, I didn't.
You directed HR to fire her.
No, I just told you what I directed HR to do.
What did you tell
Follow
Jennifer to do?
procedure and
Follow
policy.
Sandy,
Go ahead.
the last ordinance,
Like June, when we,
can you pull that up? Yeah,
you talking about the social media?
yeah.
I think it was like June
Tell
or
me when
July.
that
February 3rd or 4th of 2022.
Did you vote for it?
Huh?
Did you vote for it?
Did I vote for
Did
social
you
media
vote for
policy?
it?
I don't think I did.
What I'm looking for.
I don't think I voted for it.
If anybody else got the floor, I'd make a statement. If anybody got the floor?
Well, I'd like to say,
According to this, everybody voted unanimously.
Hey, I did vote for it? I didn't remember, but my wife had voted for it.
I guess my, part of what I was going to ask Ms. White was, would she want an executive session? Would she want to talk about that? It's just hard to know, well, you don't know anything if you can't reach them.
Well,
You know,
I mean,
and-
by law, an executive session's got to be advertised when the agenda went out, and Ms. White had to be sent a certified letter notification 24 hours prior to the executive session. And none of that was done, so the executive session today was a moot point.
So, but, Mr. Delat,
The one other point I want to make is Louisiana is our will employer, and our book has that we're at will employer, but it also makes exceptions for government employees, and government employees have to be fired by a due process. Our attorneys know this, and we haven't followed the due process to fire her. And if we fire her, I would say that would be putting ourselves looking for a lawsuit.
okay, so just go ahead. Did you want to say something?
Yeah, I do. So with what you're bringing up and with the due process, I feel kind of funny doing it if we're not, look,
I have no problem waiting for the whole council to be here.
so
I
guys,
have no problem
I
with
would
that.
make a motion to defer it and
I
let's
have
get
no
this
problem.
executive
No.
session and stuff done.
Okay, so you have an employee that you have technically fired and sent her check.
Gotta
Are you
pay her.
going to put her on administrative leave and
That's
pay
what-
her
that's
until
what
the
needs
next
to be
meeting?
done.
I've already instructed that to happen. I knew nothing about severance pay being given to her.
Okay.
I think if we do
I
it,
was,
if we're
I
gonna do something like this, we
I
need to do it
told
right.
administration to pay her until it was
Sorry,
settled.
Jesse.
So you want to make,
I would second that if that's what he's making a motion.
Yeah, that's what I would like to
Hey,
do.
before you make the motion, I'd like to clear up a couple things.
go ahead.
So I'm in the blind here, so it's a personal matter I'm hearing. So I ain't been in y'all's little loop. I'm not in y'all's little game together, so I'm gonna tell you, I'm
There's
gonna
no
tell you,
game,
I'm gonna tell you this. We made this policy because of the last guerrilla warfare problem we had, and Ms. White was involved with that, correct?
Yes.
I'm not sure if this pertains to the same one. I have not seen no videos of it. So do I want to see it? Probably not, but I think she should be there when we do watch it.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
so it's a tough decision here.
Absolutely.
But look, I work for a company. We got to follow rules and policies and procedures when you start to let somebody go. And somebody made the motion, and
I'm not in disagreement. But I hadn't seen it until this afternoon. Because, well, I don't like look at Facebook that much, and it just people left it out, and I really didn't want to either. Unfortunately, you're going to have to. You're going to have to look at it to have a full understanding.
And that's what we need to do. guys.
Good or bad.
Yeah.
So, I mean, good or bad, you have to, I agree that you should look at it. So, but, you know, all we can do is reach out to Ms. White, and we'll do that in the
Certified letter.
certified letter.
Already.
You know,
Okay.
Yes.
and some of them along that guard.
And
So
we'll
what was your,
advertise
any further discussion?
Yeah, I want to also clear up, the chairman, Mr. Jeff, didn't make any mistakes whatsoever. He did what he was supposed to do, and I want to make sure that he understands that. It's just no sense in rushing now. Make sure we got all I's dotted and all the T's crossed.
Exactly right, Raymond.
I don't agree. So motion to defer for 2 weeks?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Oh, but
Get a
it never
second.
got
He
seconded.
didn't get a second. Am I right?
Yeah,
Mr.
you're
Hurd
right.
didn't get a second.
You're
So-
right.
My calendar, I'm
Okay, so we have a motion to defer for 2 weeks from Mr. King,
27th, yes, I'll be here too.
second by Mr. Delat.
public comment.
Okay, come on. Come on up.
Prior to a meeting, would you not?
Name and city.
My name is Tammy Jo Williams.
Okay,
excuse
city
me?
and state, yeah. I don't need your physical.
Tammy Jo Williams. This is my first time to be at a council meeting for our parish.
Ma'am, I need the city and state.
Watson, Louisiana.
Well, it's Watson, Louisiana? Okay,
yes.
I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry, I'm just,
Yes, Watson,
Okay.
Louisiana.
We know where she's
Yes,
from.
and my thought is, not to embarrass anybody on the council here, but prior to coming to a meeting, would you not have all your ducks in a row prior to coming to have viewed all the documentation prior to having this conversation in public?
I mean,
Meaning,
I looked at it today.
meaning y'all are saying that you haven't looked at this or looked at that? Why haven't you looked at the documentation prior to coming in here?
No,
I'm just-
what I'm saying is,
Just a
I
fair
have.
question.
I don't have it.
He's the only
I don't
one who
have
has
Facebook.
not.
Were y'all
So-
not, were y'all not given that?
Nope.
Not until a while ago.
Was given
They got
just
it.
a while ago.
And
I
why
asked
would that
about-
be?
I've been requesting all week to get this from administration, and we just got it.
And who would be the person that was holding it prior to coming tonight?
He's on vacation. That's why it took so long to get it.
And her vacation started when?
Monday.
And when was this started? What was the date that this, prior to her vacation? Was there plenty of days, ample time before her vacation?
Not before.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Okay, motion on the floor by Mr. Keen, second by Mr. Delat. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Talbert?
Abstain.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Mack?
Yeah.
Mr. Greenhouse?
Yes.
Mr. Ard?
Yes.
Mr. McMorris?
Abstain.
Mr. Platt?
Yes.
Okay. Item 8, adopt a resolution ordering and calling a special election to be held on Saturday, December 10th, 2022, for the purpose of authorizing renewal of 5 mil tax on assessed value of all properties subject to taxation in the parish for a period of 10 years for the purpose of constructing, operating, and maintaining roads and bridges within the parish, and further making application to the State Bond Commission for consent and authorization to hold the aforesaid election, and further providing for the matters in connection therewithin. Mr. Ryan.
It's just a renewal of your road and bridge tax, the 5 mil tax.
I make that motion.
Who made the motion?
Second.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Who made the motion?
Randy?
Randy?
He stole my thunder.
That's
Oh,
all right.
you're
I
to-
gotta
No, you
write
can
this
have
down
this, sir.
for tonight,
I
because I gotta get
second.
this to the bond commission tomorrow. Who seconded it?
Right here.
You could change it, change
No,
it.
it's fine. Look, this is for our entire parish. This is important.
And help me out here. Who is absent?
Don Wascom, Bubba Harris.
Wascom and Harris. Okay.
Hey, Mr. Ryan? Any discussion from the audience? Further discussion from the council? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right.
7 yeas, 0 nays, right?
Yep, 0 nays.
Thank you,
Item-
Jim. You gonna
Item
do that?
9, I think he's going
Yeah.
to stick for this one, too.
Oh, that's,
Administrative update of a requested fact-finding report of accumulation of facts and data available to parish government through the Parish Road Capital Outlay Program, engineers, bonding attorney, and parish president's administrative staff. Mr. Delat.
I'd like, Mr. Chairman, to postpone this to the next meeting due to the fact I don't have everything I needed on those questions.
Any objection?
no, I got no, why not?
Do we need to call for public comment, Sandy? Do we have to call for public comment on that if you, okay. Any comments from the audience? Anything further? From the-
Let the record show that questions 5 through 10 is what I'm looking for. 5 through 10.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members of the council.
Okay, thank you.
Randy gave me some questions.
I got it.
Billy answered his part.
But some missing. Okay. Oh, I got them.
I'm confused on which, would you say 5 through 10 on?
On here, it's on here.
On page 9, yeah, I didn't see this.
Randy sent a questionnaire of 10 questions, and the parish engineer answered the first
We got some
4,
of
and
them
the
right
other
here.
6 need to go to the administration
I got
for
you.
answers.
And then the other ones,
Understood.
yeah,
Okay.
good.
Item 10, presentations. I don't think we have any tonight, right? So, item 11, councilman comments. Mr. Talbert.
I don't have any tonight.
Kane. Mr. Mack.
October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. There's a lot of people in our lives that we care about, and it's a very bad disease. We should all do what we can to try to prevent that. And so I wore my pink polo shirt tonight in support of Breast Cancer Awareness Month in October.
Appreciate that. Happens too much.
Gerard.
I just want to, Aaron, do you know anything about trunk or treat? Does everything still go on that, or have you heard? Okay, trunk. All right, so Mr. Harris has still got his trunk or treat going for the 31st at South Park. So I just wanted to,
Carter's got the
6
hot
to 8.
dogs and buns and
6
all
o'clock
ordered.
to 8 o'clock, South Park,
On the 31st.
31st.
I got a call from the chairman today, the manager at the parks today. He goes, are we gonna have this? I hadn't heard. I said, yeah, we having it. He said, okay, we'll get it ready.
Jeff,
Clarification from the council that it is on. Maybe someone.
They said they usually see a bunch of posts and they haven't
Sam,
seen
We'll
it.
reach out to them.
Make a note, Sandy, for us to reach out to them, make sure.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask Jeff, can you report on Bubba? I hadn't-
Bubba's actually doing good. Bubba was actually just here, and I told him to go home. So he wanted to be here, but he needs to heal up. But he's home.
Good call, Jeff.
He is moving around. Just being a little old man
Pray for him,
stubborn,
guys.
but
He needs it.
he's getting back there,
Yeah.
so.
Okay. I would like to just say my condolences and my heart goes out to Dale Sterling's family. He was a guy we went to school with, me and Jeff. Just a sweet, gentle soul, and just gone before his time. So my prayers are out for him, for his family. Morris.
No, I'm good.
Mr. Delat.
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Item 12, adopt the September 22nd, 2022 regular meetings of Livingston Parish Council and the September 27th, 2022 special meeting of the Livingston Parish Council.
So move.
All right.
Second.
All opposed? So ordered.
Oh, not like that. It's
Yeah.
better.
Yeah. Item 13, Parish President's Report. Dee Dee, you're gonna,
You want us to handle it?
Oh, make her get up.
Okay,
okay,
we got it.
yeah.
Want me to do it, or you gonna do it?
You can.
He just needs, item 13A is authorization to execute and file an application for Council on Aging DOTD grant under 49 CFR 5311, non-urbanized area formula, and 49 CFR 5339, District Capital Program, Kay Granger, Livingston Parish Council of Aging, Executive Director. So just need a motion to authorize
This is
that.
something we do every year.
Yeah.
Meals on Wheels.
Yeah, for the Meals on Wheels thing, for the Council on Aging.
You got a motion?
I'll motion on that.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Ard. Second. Second by Mr. Mack. Any comments from the audience? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right.
And B is the Off-System Bridge Program. Adopt annual certification of compliance with the State of Louisiana Off-System Bridge Replacement Program.
Also something we do.
Yeah, that's something Miss
yearly,
Sammy
so-
called me about, and wanted to make sure that it was handled, because this is, you know, something they go through. They just certify the bridges, make sure everything's up to standards.
You made a motion?
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Motion by Mr. King, second by Mr. Delat. Any comments from the audience? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Now we're going to skip to item 16. Public hearing. We're now entering a public hearing. It's a public hearing and adoption of LP ordinance
Did we do
number
14?
22. What's that?
14, did we do it?
We
Skipped.
skipped it.
Skipping that.
We're going to come back to it. Public hearing and adoption of LP ordinance number 22-49, moratorium for injection wells and disposal wells, Class 5. So we're now in a public hearing.
We need to read it?
Yeah, go ahead and read by title.
Proposed ordinance number 22-49, it's an ordinance to adopt a temporary 12-month moratorium regarding the construction and drilling of Class 5 injection wells and monitoring wells, prohibiting any activities associated with Class 5 wells where the well is specific to geologic testing of rock formation, monitoring, drilling, or injecting of CO2 for long-term storage. This shall include the prohibition of all activities within Livingston Parish and the waterways herein, including but not limited to detonation of charges for seismic testing, drilling, or injecting of liquids into a Class 5 well within the parish of Livingston.
Okay. Andrew Connolly.
Andrew Connolly, Prairieville. Good evening. I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Andrew Connolly of Air Products, and I'm responsible for this project. My role this evening is to let you know about our plans for the project and answer any questions that you have. I'd like to thanking Livingston Parish Council for this opportunity to talk. My commitment tonight for this project is to be open and transparent with you all and give you the information you need so you understand the product, the project, and what we would like to do. Air Products is committed to be a trusted industry partner with the community. We have been doing this in Louisiana since the mid-60s. We have 18 facilities up and down the river, and have a demonstrated commitment to the communities we operate within. There is already a one-year moratorium in place on Class 6 wells, and what I'd like to talk about tonight is a seismic survey and Class 5 wells. I also want to take the opportunity to share some information with you about important aspects of the project and things we are hearing, and answer some of those questions. Before I do that, I'd like to talk about the sequence of events for the proposed upcoming work. This would begin with seismic testing and the drilling of 2 Class 5 test wells on the lake. The data from these activities is used to verify that CO2 injection in the area is safe and the geology is suitable for that. These Class 5 test wells will not be used for CO2 injection. If the test information shows the area is not suitable, we're not going to inject. CO2 injection can only occur with an approved Class 6 well permit. We have heard questions about parts of the project, and we'd like to address those. Firstly, the number of wells. The project will add 12 to 16 wells on the lake. These well platforms will be designed to enhance fish habitat, minimize visual impact, and they will be safely marked for boaters. What about the old existing wells on the lake? Lake Maurepas has old oil and gas wells, all of which are in Livingston County, and they have been there for some time. We're going to inspect them, test them, fix them, and bring all of those wells up to current industry standards. Our efforts will protect the drinking water aquifer for many years to come. We've heard concerns that could be impact to fish and drinking water. CO2 sequestration can be done and has been done safely. For over 50 years of 30 locations, there's been no impact to fish or water quality. The process is continuously monitored 24/7, 365, using automated systems and trained operators. That process has to start a year before injection, and it continues throughout the life of the project and for 50 years afterwards. All our activities on the lake will be monitored by an independent third party, Southeastern Louisiana University.
Mr. Connolly, I'm sorry, time's up, but look, when, I'm sure the council will bring it back up, it's a time limit.
I get it.
It's a time limit, so when the council goes to ask questions, I'm curious to hear what you have to say. I'll call you back on.
Mr. Chairman, if you want to, someone can allot their time to him.
I would like to allot him to time.
Okay.
Yep, I'd like to let him finish.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Go ahead, reset.
Thank you very much. Our commitment is to be a responsible, transparent partner. We've listened to the feedback. We understand your concerns. With that in mind, before we start any of the seismic testing activity, we would like to do an actual demonstration for you of that testing. We want to invite local elected officials and interested residents from all of the parishes to see with your own eyes and experience what that testing looks like. We will ask Southeastern Louisiana University to participate in that process and monitor with independent experts on site for that test. We invite Livingston Parish to be an active partner in the project and provide us the opportunity to demonstrate to you that we can do this safely and with continued transparency. I sincerely thank you, Livingston Parish, for the time to talk with you about this evening. We'll continue to make ourselves available to answer questions and explain our project. Again, thank you for the time, and thank you for allowing me the extra time.
Thank you, Mr. Conley. Mr. Clay Spencer.
Who was you with?
What's that?
Who was he with?
Air product.
It was Air Products. Yeah. Air Products. Mr. Tripp Oliver. Firm. Miss Kimberly Goslin. Meryl Scottenfeld.
I defer.
Art. Niall Berlin. Marjorie McKithen. Brian Landry. You said you defer?
No.
Oh, no. It was going so good.
Thank you, gentlemen. Brian Landry, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Just want to say a few words. I'm with the Louisiana Chemical Association. I'm the Vice President of Political Affairs, and I just want to, I know I addressed you guys before, just wanted to touch base on a couple of things. I appreciate you having me here this evening. But as a Louisianian myself, I definitely understand your concerns and the importance of keeping not only your home, but this whole state safe, especially as these projects are coming on board. Now, Louisiana is definitely well positioned to become a leader in these these types of projects because we have that capability. Our economy is going to enjoy substantial benefits from any of the new project developments, not just here, but around the state, that involves carbon capture and carbon sequestration. As you know, this isn't a new technology. We have some of the best companies in the world that are leading in this effort. This is decades in the making and decades in proven factual data in keeping carbon sequestration and keeping it secure. The permits required for these projects are the strictest in the United States, and constant monitoring is required at these sites for this to continue on. And just some quick facts, just to touch base on, the carbon captured here are permanently sequestered in that you heard about the geologic core that we had in a couple of meetings past. Of course, some of this is mixed with brine, suspended, and of course it turns back into the formation of that rock. This isn't fracturing, as most folks are familiar with fracturing. This is not a fracturing part. And of course, this is in no way affects the drinking and any other of the water supplies. Now, Louisiana definitely intends over, not only here in Louisiana, but on a global stage. We have a lot of very large chemical manufacturing companies that are lowering their emissions, not only here in Louisiana, but globally. They've had some policies and procedures, and they're looking forward, and we're going to be leaders in lowering the emissions. From all the other, anywhere in the world, we are leaders, and we will lead. And you see that in these projects going forward. We are concerned that any proposed delay, and especially in this Class 5 wells, any delay in that will put a chilling effect. As you know, you've read the newspapers. There are other projects that are out there. We're hoping that this will not chill those other projects that need to come here, that are going to employ our Louisianians going forward. We have the talent. We have the know-how. We have the work ethic to put this into place, and we have some great leaders in the companies that are already here, that are employing Louisianans today. But I won't take too much of your time. I appreciate your time this evening, and look forward with engaging you and making this a productive and ongoing conversation, especially since we have Air Products here and others. But I'll answer any questions, but I know we've got 30 seconds left. Thank you.
Tanya Bankston.
Bankston?
Bankston, Ms. Bankston?
Yes.
Is it,
Yeah,
this is
that's you.
Tanya? Is it,
Kenyon.
no, that's wrong. Okay, well, I'm so sorry.
That's all right,
Kenyon.
good.
I called you Tanya.
Yeah.
My bad. Go ahead.
Kenyon Banks, and I live at 31227 north of Albany. Got a camp down in Marpaw, on Lake Marpaw in Killian, Louisiana. Y'all, Livingston Parish has everything to lose here on this project and nothing to gain. As you hear so far tonight, you will hear nothing about what they're going to do for the fishermen of the area that's going to lose their job. You won't hear nothing about the crabbers that's going to lose their job. You won't hear nothing about the recreational boaters who's going to have to change their way of life and go different routes or have the whole lake change. You won't hear nothing about how they're going to help the property values in and around Livingston Parish. You won't hear nothing about how they're going to protect our tourism for the poker runs that bring in big dollars down in South Springfield. You're not going to hear anything about how they're going to help our community. All you're going to hear is how they can do it safely and how this is such a great project. Well, guys, this is not a great project for Lake Marpaw. This has nothing to do with capturing CO2 out of the atmosphere and cleaning the atmosphere. This has everything to do with building a carbon plant, a carbon creating plant that's going to create blue hydrogen also to be sold to other countries overseas. That's what this project has. They're going to create the carbon, put it underneath Lake Marpaw with only a 10-year liability. After 10 years, they walk away from it. They don't have any more liability on that lake. It all goes to the state and the parish. There's nothing in it for Livingston Parish. We have everything to lose and nothing to gain from this project. Everything to lose. Everything to lose and nothing to gain. So I don't understand how a company can come in. They don't have to put up no signs. Look, if we're going to build a dollar store, if we're going to divide our property, we have to put up a 4x8 sign and hold a public meeting about that project. These guys can walk in our community, north of Albany, north of Holden, and just start running with gravel trucks and drilling wells without any public meeting whatsoever, without any signage whatsoever, without any flagmen whatsoever, and cause a hazard in our community. And now you have the same thing going on in the lake. If you look at the seismic study, how they got the permit for that, the seismic crew is based in Tangipahoa Parish. 80% of the work will be done in Livingston Parish, but they choose to go down to St. John the Baptist and have the meeting. You know, and why not have it where you're going to do majority of the work? Why not have it where you're going to do, where your headquarters at in Tangipahoa Parish? Why not choose one of those? Why choose a parish that you're barely working in? It just don't make no sense to me, and I don't understand how a company can come in and not inform the community, not even inform the council what's going on. This was all a big surprise to all of us. We woke up after the Green New Deal was signed, and we woke up to gravel trucks. We woke up to seismic study in the lake. We woke up to all kind of stuff. And guys, I hope the council votes right to help us put the brakes on this project to where we can learn more about what's going on. We need to learn more about what's going on. You know, yeah, they say they can do it safely, but what about the people that live around the lake? What about those people? What about our property values? You know, there's a big development right there in Killian right now that's going to bring revenue to our parish, jobs to our parish, and yet that man right there, that $1 million investment, millions of dollar investment, can you imagine being that guy with this going on out there? So appreciate y'all. Hope y'all vote right tonight. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Maxton. Matthew Barnum.
My name is Mayhew Barnum. I live in Springfield, Louisiana, 23080 Barnum Road.
Thank you.
Guys, there's so many people out on that lake. There's going to be such change. They're going to build platforms out there. There's no platforms out there now for obstacles for people to run into. And Another thing, business is what's worried me. I'm a marine contractor. I do a lot of work down in that area. And the property values, if people don't come to them places to use them, then a lot of people is going to suffer and not have jobs. And also the marinas, all the tourism it brings in every year, the people that comes. And that's just the main thing worrying me. I ain't real good at all this speaking stuff because I just...
You're doing fine. You're doing good.
It gets you down. But, and like Mr. Bankston was saying, you know, we got the biggest part of this lake, and then they coming through the back door with all this. Why don't they have the meetings and stuff and notify the people that lives there first before all this taking place? And like, this lake has been like sacred for all these years, all my life. I mean, they stopped dredging back in there in the 80s. You know, nobody can do nothing in it. It was supposed to be estuary for wildlife and stuff. And then they're going to come in here with boats and prop wash through there. Now, is that a way to treat an estuary? Going in there and dynamite and blowing holes in the ground? I mean, that, to me, that's common sense. Leave it alone. And I just hope tonight that y'all vote right and take care of the people of Livingston Parish, which, you know, that needs it. And thank y'all.
Thank you. Mr. Jason Stilley? You good? All right, so there was a Tanya Bankston on here, so I wasn't making that up.
Okay,
So,
she's good.
Yeah.
She's good.
So I wasn't calling Mr. Kenya, I wasn't calling you Tanya. I was there because I saw, I was like, wait, he's on here again. You can't do that. All right, I have D. Mitchell. I don't think she can make the first name. Mr. Mitchell, yes. Come on up.
Dwayne Mitchell, 33053 Highway 1036, Holden, Louisiana. My family's been on the property where I live for 5 generations. You know, that's probably over 100 years. We lived there for a reason. We stayed there for a reason. And right now, I feel like a way of life is being threatened with what's coming. I've asked, since this began, I asked 2 questions. Number 1, what is the risk to me and my neighbors? And number 2, what are the benefits to us? And neither question has been answered since the get-go of this. They've all danced around, said all this jobs and everything else. I pass by that well site every day. And it's there to see it in the parking lot. It's all Texas. Texas boys got to work too. I don't blame them. But they throw this jobs thing out there. That's a bunch of BS. I know it don't mean a hill of beans to most of the people in here, but I'm also the president of Bear Creek Hunting Club. We've been there for 37 years. We lease the same property that Oxy's leasing. We have members from all over Louisiana, all over South Louisiana, as far as toward Lake Charles and some way down the bayou. We even have members from Mississippi. And believe you me, that is a big change in Livingston Parish, to have folks from Mississippi to come here to recreation or hunt, you know. These people, they spend their money right here at Carter's, right here in town. They buy gas. They buy feed from Southern Boys. They buy feed from Circle A. They generate money right here locally. And I would say that Bear Creek generates more money than to our local economy than Oxy has, for sure. So as a community, I feel like that we should have some input in what's going on. And we as a community do not want our neighborhood turned into an industrial dump. moratorium on the Class 5 injection wells, we all support. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wayne, I just have G here, so Wayne, Mr. Wayne.
Hi, y'all. Bilbo. I live on Shelley Drive in Springfield. I want to talk about a couple of economic issues. One is the Take 4200 poker run, which, because of my involvement with the Tourist Commission, I'll have to say I'm talking personally. I don't represent the state or Livingston Parish Tourist Commission in any way. And I will speak for the Take 4200 because they authorized me to state that they are 100% behind bringing back the Take 4200. You know, we created this. I was lucky enough to have met the man who had the vision for it to become what it is almost. You know, we have the things that when Charlie Albert created this.
Mr. Wayne, I need you to draw this to a Class 5 well pretty quick.
Oh, okay, well, this is the whole thing.
Okay.
It was created because of who we are and our lifestyle. Okay, it was created for the people of Lower Livingston Parish. We never thought about no state economic impacts. Because of my experience now with the Tourist Commission, I understand much more fully what that actually means. What that 35 million this year projected for 2023 means for 1 week. And why it's successful? It ain't nothing I had to do with it all these years, or the guys, yeah, we brought it to the table. But the reason it's successful is because of that crabber in the lake that was friendly. He was probably hoping they were finally dredging out the channels that we couldn't do for years because we can't dredge. And I got to applaud these people for their chess match. I mean, listen, my whole lifetime's been involved in construction and industry and pollution control and all of this stuff. There's not a person alive that wants our ecology to be good. Look, some of us have worked our whole lives to get eagles back. Okay, bald eagles, and they're here. You know, my whole life right now has brought me to stand here in front of you people and beg y'all to just take a deep breath, sit back and realize, you know, you guys that are involved with the companies that are doing this have done an excellent job. Y'all have to be good at what y'all do. I recognize that.
Mr. Wayne.
But y'all don't understand the life that we're risking. Everything is based on a calculated risk. And I have to have a warm and fuzzy feeling to tell all these thousands of people across this country that are worried about, will it be safe? Will we do this? And now I got all these, because I learned what economic value is. You know, what about the other 51 weeks a year that we're risking? You guys, it's not just about Livingston Parish or the 8th district that I'm part of. It's about the whole South Louisiana. Are we willing to take the risk to our lifestyle, our ecology, because it all boils down to that? And you have one little accident here, and you have another little accident over there, and all of a sudden, our tourist industry is, just let's say, cut it in half. How much is that worth a year? Because we'll lose, and it won't happen in the next 5 or 10 years, or even 15. But what will happen in 20 years? We need to sit back. I would love to sit down with these representatives.
Mr. Wayne.
And possibly to discuss the ecological issues. And I want to put a moratorium. And I understand my time is limited.
No, yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Joseph Galliford.
Yes, how you doing, Parish Council? Listen, I just want to thank you guys for letting me speak. I want to apologize for our last meeting when they were here.
Sir,
I had a little.
name and address for the record,
sorry,
please.
Joseph Galliford. I'm from Hammond, Louisiana. Look, I had a little bit of an outburst last week because there was a question I kept trying to ask, and from the chemical companies, and nobody could ever give me the answer to. Okay, I'm against these class 5 and 6 wells, 100%. There's nothing these people here on the side of me could say or do to convince me of it. It's too risky. It's too risky. It's too risky to the parish. It's too risky to the state, our waters, our lake, these wells, people's water wells in this parish. The question that I ask is, if I have a 2.5-year-old daughter that I adopted, like I said, 2 years ago. In 5 years, 10 years from now, if she's getting up for a glass of water and she drinks a glass of water that's contaminated because it broke the barrier, because nobody knows what can happen, right? Breaks the barrier, drinks the water, what's going to happen to her liver and her kidneys? No one wants to answer that question. No one. No one. Now, I think y'all care about your community. I would hope y'all do. The parish, council, the parish, the people of the parish, I know they do. I'm a little disappointed there wasn't a big turnout like it was last time, But I think, hey, look, people got to work. I get it. My question is here today. We can sit here and fluff these conversations with Air Products, Occidental, once a month while they're doing their project. It's going to get done unless we fight another way. There's environmental lawyers out there to fight this fight, to do an injunction with the judge to stop it. And everybody has to fight. It takes money. And does the parish have money allocated to fight the fight? Can they impose something to fight the fight with the lawyer? These meetings are great. They're awesome. Community meetings, great. You put your voice up there. But bottom line is to stop these giant entities and put them in their tracks, you gotta get a lawyer. I've been trying to tell everybody that we're fighting something that all we're doing is we're talking. They're trying to convince us, no, you're right, it's not fracking. You're right, it ain't fracking, but it's a deliberate storage of a pollution, something that they're creating in our lake, under our ground, in here in Livingston Parish, which I'm not even from Livingston Parish. And I'm over here fighting for these people and my lake. Okay? I'm in Tangipahoa Parish, but when they gonna come over there next? Because the ground's good. I'm against it, people. I'm against it. We need a lawyer. Help me, help. I do whatever I can. I don't mind. I got time. I've already talked to a lawyer, but he can't bite on nothing until you get enough people in the community to fight. It has to be done. That's the only way it's going to stop them. The money's too big. The entities are too big. It goes way beyond our pocketbooks. I'm telling you, help me get a lawyer, us get a lawyer, everybody in this parish, Tangipahoa Parish, St. John the Baptist, y'all have people out there that y'all know, band together, get a lawyer. Get an injunction, him to file an injunction, and stop this before it's too late. Because one day, your daughter might be drinking CO2, and guess what? Maybe liver failure. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Mack.
You guys have heard me, ad nauseum about this issue. You know where I'm at on it. I'm against it. And I'm here supporting your efforts for the moratorium on the C5s. It's consistent with what you passed with the C6. I think it was very interesting tonight. Things happen. People say things for a reason. And the gentleman who came up first was very professional, very nice, and he talked about time. And that's what we're here about tonight is time. Y'all gave this gentleman the courtesy of giving him more time than he was allotted. Give the Livingston Parish the people of the courtesy of more time. That's what you're doing here tonight. Give the people in North Holden and South Livingston the same courtesy that you gave them tonight. You can come back a month from now and revise or retract this moratorium. You can come back 2 months from now. You can come back a year from now. You can come back if you have more information. But that's exactly what he's doing. Give it time to do maybe some of the things that they talked about doing tonight. You know, go out and do a demonstration. See what it's about. So we can come back and tell the people of North Livingston, in the Holden area, in the South Livingston area, in the Marpaw area, the Springfield area. It's about time, guys. Okay, it's about time to answer questions. And I'm going to sit down, but the question I'm going to leave you with is this, because this is the question that I've been having for the last week. It's no secret that I issued a letter to the Corps of Engineers asking them not to give that permit until your vote tonight. You got a lot of people watching tonight. Okay, I respect every one of you. I know every one of you on a professional level, and I'm friends with every one of you. Anyone who questions anybody's integrity on this council, I'm going to defend you, because I know where your heart is. Okay? But give us some time to answer a lot of questions, but this one specifically. There is a moratorium issued by the State Mineral Board right now today on mineral wells in Lake Pontchartrain, the big lake. They put their own moratorium on their own property for a reason. We're going to speed this up and do these wells in the little lake? Does that make sense to anybody? Give us some time to answer those questions. Thank you.
Lisa Neal.
Thank you, Council. I'm Lisa Neal. I live on Highway 1036. Is there anybody here from Oxy besides Mr. Chris on the back row? Anybody else here from Oxy? Okay. Well, Oxy is very near and dear to my heart because I am 1.4 miles away from the Class 5 well that's happening every day of my life. My problem is if we have been doing, and this probably goes to this nice gentleman right here, sequestration for 50 years, while the rest you get to Louisiana then. I don't think it's been done in this capacity for 50 years. And that's the part that nobody's talking about. Not CO2, not sequestration on this level. So if they can answer that, I would love to hear it. And if we have been doing it for 50 years, why can't we get answers to all these questions that we're asking, especially number one, our safety? So that brings me to the EPA. EPA says that a Class 5 well, which is why we're here tonight, can be converted to an injector well if it's initially constructed to a Class 6 standards. We don't know what Oxy's doing up there. I don't know. You know, I live a mile away, but all I hear is noise and see the traffic. I don't know what they're doing. So they probably could be actually constructing it to Class 6 standards. We don't know. But it also says they need to apply through the EPA and they have to go through all of those channels. I get that. It also states a full review process occurs on the scale of years. EPA is required to seek and respond to public comments before issuing a final permit. At that point in the process, EPA would publish a notice in a local newspaper describing the project, explaining the comment submissions, procedures, and deadlines, providing information and planned public hearings, and providing information about the initial project. In Holden, we don't have a mayor. We don't have a full-time fire department. We don't have a police department. We don't have a newspaper. Where is this going for us? Who are they going to call? Where are they going to publish it? How can I get more informed? Every day, my neighbors and I read something new about what's happening. It's happening too fast. We're not getting the answers. So I want to thank y'all right off the bat. I know I've bent Mr. Randy's ear, I've bent G-Boy's ear, and poor Shane has driven up in my driveway. That's how bad it's been. So thank y'all very much for listening to us, because there's a lot we don't know and we need answers. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Kim, I don't know if the last name is Nave? I defer. Okay. Desiree Lemoyne.
Good evening, members. It's good to see you again. And I'll read part of the statement that I read last month.
I need your name and
Desiree
address.
Lemoyne. I'm with Industry Makes, campaign manager, 4701 Bluebonnet Boulevard, Baton Rouge.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for your attention to this important issue of carbon capture and storage. I'm here representing Industry Makes. We are a 501c4. And we are here because we believe that manufacturing is the backbone of Louisiana's economy. I'm here tonight to be a voice for responsible industrial growth in Louisiana and ask that we all work together to navigate this energy transition. I don't have a few comments on the misinformation on seismic activity and things like that. With regard to the subsurface surveying, a subsurface survey or a seismic survey is a 3D visual inspection of underground geology to help ensure and confirm the optimal places to permanently secure CO2. Seismic surveying uses sound waves, which are similar to a fish finder, to produce 3D images of underground geological structures, and does not use cables or wires. No dredging is required for a subsurface survey. And I'll leave you with that Class 5 injection wells are permitted by the Louisiana Department of Natural Resources and require extensive studying and engineering prior to construction. There are standards, and it is industry's obligation to meet those standards. It's to our peril when we don't. The United States is the world leader in carbon capture and storage, hosting the highest number of large-scale carbon capture and storage facilities in the world. There are 18 worldwide, and out of those 18 facilities, 10 are in the U.S., and Texas boasts the largest facility, which is known as the Century Natural Gas Plant. With access to such state-of-the-art carbon capture and storage technology, the U.S. has the potential to capture over 27 million tons every year, which is the equivalent of taking 5.4 million cars off the road. And Livingston Parish has the opportunity to lead the way. Industry Makes ask that you please take more time to learn about the science of CCS before voting on this ordinance that will put Livingston Parish out of reach for future opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you.
What's your name again?
My name is Desiree Lemoyne,
Hey, can I get a
Lemoy.
copy of that thing that they handed you to read out tonight? You don't want?
No, they're my notes. You
Oh,
can
that's
have
your
them.
notes? Okay,
Yeah.
never mind. I thought that was the ones they gave out to y'all to read.
No,
Okay, thanks.
you're welcome.
Is it John Albanese? Did I say that right, Mr. John?
John Albanese, 28405 Ridge Lane, Springfield, Louisiana. I was born and raised there on the lake, Cartridge Bluff. Now I live on Tickfaw River. The whole thing we getting off on all over the map. It's the choice of where the storage is chosen. The company's chosen as the problem. The lake's got just too many problems in this line of business as it is. Besides the recreational, fishermen and all that. All the old wells out there, they're gonna assume responsibility for them. Those wells have been there for years. We don't know the conditions of them. They've been left alone. And the other thing is the best management practice on what they're doing already on waterways. Wildlife fisheries got best management practice. Settlement usually moved has to be removed completely. It can't be just pushed around out there. That's, it's in the best management practice. We've been following that for years. The old oil wells, we don't know how well they were kept. That's a question of, for years it's been a question. The other thing is best safety practices to pipe it. There's pipelines taking it off to other places already. The lake is just a poor decision for storage. We're not here to talk about CO2. I got 40 years in capturing CO2 and hydrocarbons. We could capture it all day long. Holding it is the problem. It's only good as the pipes and the tanks that you put it in. After 40 years experience, I could tell you for a fact, that's only how good it is. The pipes in the lake, it's just too much traffic out there, too much recreation. I just think it's a poor decision. The other thing is, it's an unsafe practice to be in such a populated area with a project this magnitude. Everybody else is going in areas where it's not so much population. It's being piped down to remote areas where there's no population, no water wells. All I see is a lot of trouble coming out of this. Better safe practice is other places this could be stored. We ain't trying to stop the plant. Even though blue hydrogen, everybody knows it's been a dead-end street. There's not much need for it. There's better hydrogen out there. The process creates a lot of CO2 over the other processes, which in turn, they're going to capture more and they're going to make more incentives. That's the bottom line, at the risk of the lake. So we were born on that lake, and it's our responsibility to protect the lake. It's not a choice. This is our job. We got to protect the lake. I know they don't understand that, and I've tried to come up with other scenarios for them, but there's an EnLink pipeline that's going down south already to approved sites. I've done made that comment, suggested they use it. I don't know if they turned a blind ear to me, but there's other better safe practices. This lake is a bad choice, and I wish y'all would pull this project out the lake. We're not trying to stop your plant, but I suggest you pull it out the lake. Do the right thing for the people in this area, and y'all pull the project yourself. That would be the only right thing to do. Take it away from the council. You could pull, you know that, them wells are dangerous. To even fool with secretion out there.
Sir, you need to address the
Okay.
council, I'm sorry. That's it.
Thank y'all.
Thank you. So that's the end of the people who signed up for 4 minutes. So
There's a
anyone
hand up.
else want to discuss? Come on up, ma'am. 2 minutes.
Carla DeYoung, Livingston, Louisiana. My question is, for y'all that hopefully have reviewed some of all this stuff, they're saying all they do is shoot a laser down in the ground to see what's under there. How is that not like seismic, where you get the boom? Do you know?
They're not.
They're
So
not?
it is going to be, can I, Chair, I'm
go ahead,
sorry.
go ahead.
So there is going to be,
So I have a property in North Louisiana where they came out and did this when they found the Haynesville shell. Okay, I have no idea where it was that they were doing these things that they shoot down in the ground, but I was miles and miles away, living in a mobile home at the time, and the furniture in my house moved. So I think all of you probably have heard me up here before because I have a problem with all the flooding in this town. How is that going to impact what we already have an issue with, the flooding? All I hear is the Corps of Engineers won't do this, won't do that, so we have this problem. Well, what's going to happen when they start doing that? If my trailer was shaken from miles and miles away, what's going to happen to the old sewer tanks that are down there by the Amite River or down by Maurepas? What's going to happen to the the ditches that are already messed up that we can't clean up because supposedly the Corps of Engineer won't let us? Does anybody know what kind of effect all of that is going to have on our flooding? No? Because we have a huge issue with flooding, with building and everything else around here. So my hope is that the council will pick the people of this town over who's going to sue them.
Thank you. Anyone else? Oops.
My name's Troy Wagner. I live on 1036, right there on each side of our house and my son's houses. They're putting in these wells. They've got plans on putting wells on both sides. Weyerhaeuser owns the property on both sides of us. Are they gonna build fences there to keep this stuff out from under our houses? Is our property value is gonna go down? What is gonna happen on this? I mean, that Weyerhaeuser leased their whole place, and it stops at my property line, on both sides of my property line, on each side of the road. They're planning on drilling one of these wells, not an injection well, but a monitoring well within 600 feet of one of my son's houses. What is that gonna do to him? How's his property? He built a brand new house there. We've lived there all our lives. I'm like Dwayne, the only time we ever moved was just out of our parents' houses into our houses. We lived there all our lives. This is affecting all us up there in Holden area and all these people down in Marpole area. We don't have any answers to any of this stuff. We don't know what's gonna happen. How much pressure are they gonna put down under this, in this well? How long do they plan on pumping this stuff? Is it gonna be for 10 years, 15 years, or how long it's gonna be? They're sucking this stuff out of the air. Is it just carbon? Everybody's been to big cities and stuff. They see these big brown clouds over these cities. They said they got just a carbon injection permit. What about the other stuff that they're gonna collect out of this? There's gotta be more stuff in the air than just carbon. I know it is. But they're not gonna separate it. If they do separate it, what are they gonna do with that? Turn it right back loose? Back into the ozone. That's what our problem is. Nobody know what these answers are. They can't tell us. All they wanna tell us is how safe it is. I don't think it's gonna be safe at all. The next 10 to 15 years, they might be gone. All right, who's gonna protect my grandkids from anything that's gonna come up out of that ground?
Wrap it up. I'm gonna need you to wrap it up, sir. It's 2 minutes.
Okay.
2 minutes. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, public meeting is now closed. Councilman?
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the moratorium as stated in the public hearing.
Motion by.
I'd like to second it.
Second by Mr. Mack. Any comments?
I do. Anybody read the letter Chris sent us?
I read it.
I read it.
Are you gonna put this thing up for vote where the bottom of Lake Marpole, which is obviously outside our jurisdiction based on this letter, are you gonna leave it in there? Are we gonna try to put a moratorium on class 5 wells and seismic activity in Lake Marpole? That's the only question I have, because basically this letter says that it's illegal for us to do that.
The letter does say that state has jurisdiction over the bottom lines and that we could be sued individually, and we can also possibly be at fault if we slowing down or stop this project. That's a case that a chance that I'm willing to take. It's a chance that we, as elected officials, should take to protect the citizens of our parish. I'm like everybody else that spoke up here.
No.
we're not gonna have that.
We're not going to have over speaking on this. I was clear on this. Okay?
I'm like,
Go ahead.
I'm like everyone else that who spoke on this. Even you probably against it yourself, but you want to dot the i's and cross the t's. We're going to be sued by one side. It doesn't matter. Everything's a lawsuit nowadays. I feel like we do have obligation to protect not only the lake, but all of Livingston Parish, which means north of Holden also. If we can stop it, fine. If we can't stop it, we didn't. But I want to use our vote to stop, to represent it. The buck got to start somewhere. Let's start right here.
I agree with that.
I have one more question.
Go ahead, Mr. Tucker.
Was there a representative from Oxy here tonight? Answer a question about their well. I keep hearing people that live in the North Holden area talk about drilling a well, Texas vehicles, the noise. Are y'all permitted for a Class 5 well already?
Yes, sir.
Are y'all drilling that well currently?
Yes, sir.
How many Class 5 wells are y'all permitted for and going to drill on that site?
I'm not certain on the number, but I'm happy to get back with you on it.
But basically, the well that's being drilled now is permitted by DEQ and Natural Resources and all those parties, and you're under construction.
To my knowledge, yes, sir.
Okay, so we're looking at it, that's all, that's the question. I don't know if anybody else had a question. So we're looking at a situation where you got a permitted Class 5 well in Holden already being drilled that we can't stop with a moratorium. And this ordinance, and this letter that Chris said clearly outlines the fact that moving forward on a moratorium on Class 5 wells and seismic activity in Lake Maurepas is illegal on our part. So if we're not willing to amend the thing, I'm not gonna be able to vote for the moratorium. That's the only question. I mean, I just want to know, does somebody want to amend it, or are we gonna move forward like it is?
I got something to say. Okay, so I did receive the letter. I read it several times. The way I interpreted that letter was that we could be sued personally. That was his opinion, that we could be sued personally if we intentionally broke the state constitution. Well, what I can tell you is that I have read a lot of state statute in the last 2 or 3 weeks in my spare time. And I do not believe that the moratorium that I support, that I wrote, breaks the United States or the Louisiana Constitution. I believe that the state statute of Louisiana authorizes local governments to pass reasonable legislation to protect the people that they represent. And by golly, I believe that as a representative of the people of Livingston Parish, that we should be for the people, it should be of the people, and it should be by the people, and the representatives elected should protect the people. And I can tell you that I have talked to multiple people all across Livingston Parish, and I have not talked to one single individual that supports these projects. Look, and so to me, we should pass this moratorium. We should be given time to gather more information and to pass reasonable legislation on Class 5 monitoring wells for CO2 injection purposes, for the seismic testing. You know, people want to throw out there, well, we've been doing seismic testing in Lake Maurepas for years. Well, yeah, that's true. But what I heard from representatives from Air Products was that they were planning on shutting down portions of that lake. Well, I don't agree with that. I don't want to shut down any portion of that lake, but if I was forced to shut down a portion of that lake, I would want to establish some regulation that said that it could only be shut down during certain times, right? Maybe during times whenever individuals that utilize that lake, you know, are not on the water, you know, at a preferred time. What I mean by that is, like, maybe we ain't going to be doing no seismic testing on Saturday and Sunday. Maybe we're going to be doing seismic testing, you know, 8 to 4, when people ain't out there trying to run their boats. You know, they spoke about the poker run. We're not going to be doing seismic testing, shutting down parts of that lake during that poker run. You know what I mean? That is dangerous. It is unsafe for the people of Livingston Parish, and that's where I'm coming from. And we can go on and on and on and on if y'all want to continue to debate this. But I think the right thing to do is to support this moratorium and to give us elected local officials time to do our job.
Good job. Yeah. All right, so last week I poured my heart out to everybody in this room, you know, what was fixing to happen here at the lake. So I'd like to just, a couple comments I want to go back and review, especially with the first guy that went, Mr. Clay. Is it okay?
Yes. Go ahead.
Mr. Clay? Yes. So I have a couple questions for you. Yes. So you're telling us you're going to monitor that for 50 years?
Come up to the microphone, please.
So you're telling us you're going to monitor it for 50 years now? So
Yes, sir.
at the last meeting, it was 10 years. So I want to, so I hate to be the bad news bearer here, but I'm asking you a simple question because it's put out there every meeting we go to that it's going to be 10 years. Is it 10 years or 50 years you're going to monitor? That's all, just a simple question.
So we have to monitor the well when we inject. That's 25 years. The well has to be monitored for 50 years after that.
Excuse me, sir, I'm asking you a question. So your commentators on the side, please answer me, please. So you're 25, 50, so I can get the message to the people.
Yes.
Oh,
25 years.
okay, thank you. All right, I'm not through, Mr. Clay. I'm not trying to be rude to you. I just had a few more questions for you.
Yes.
You also said it's like doing a fish finder, you know, in your statement earlier. Well, that's not, to me, that's not true. Whenever we're going to do dynamite into the bottom of the lake, we're going to use 5 to up to 20 pounds. If 20 pounds does not work, we're going up to 30. We got to have approval, correct?
Yes.
Yes, sir. They say no, but you say yes, sir. Okay.
So we do not have a permit to do any seismic testing
Not yet, but just
Correct.
it's coming. But you're using that statement to the people that it's like using a fish finder, but it's not. Whenever you're going to do the fish finder, it's whenever you do the boom and you're going to read the waves, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's what I want to get to the people because the people is getting confused on statements that we're making to them. So I want to make sure I get this out to my people that I represent in Marpole, Coyell, Free Settlement, and Walker South. All right?
Thank you, sir.
All right. Hold up, I ain't finished yet. I got a bunch more. And it is pretty simple questions. I mean, I want to give the people the right answers, correct? So in Lake Marpole, we had a choice to either do it in the lake or do it in the swamplands. And we chose the lake. Why was that?
Sorry, can you repeat that, sir?
So we had a choice at the beginning to do the lake or do it in the swamplands around Lake Marpole from Interstate 10 to the lake. And we chose the middle of the lake to do this. Was there a reason behind that?
Yes, sir. So if you look at the geology under the lake, the combination of where that is, the quality of that, balancing within the pipelines, the disruption with pipelines. So if you look at all the aspects, we believe that was the best place to sequestrate.
Okay, so the other companies was turned down. They was going to put it in the woods, in the swamps, back to the interstate, so they was denied to move forward. So I wanted to clear that up because you hear rumors, people talk a lot about this, correct? Why are we doing it in the swamps? So you answered our questions.
I can't answer their decision-making process.
Thank you. The wells that's in the lake right now.
Yes, sir.
What year was they done?
I don't know the
Don't know
exact
yet?
year for each well, sir.
So that has never been proven yet?
I think
How long ago it was?
I think we may have the data or some information.
The
on those
wells is there now, the oil and the gas wells? Oh, yes, ma'am.
Yes, Councilman.
The wells were drilled starting in the 50s, I believe, through the 70s. They are, not all of them, we are sure of how they were plugged and abandoned. We would like the opportunity to work with y'all to bring them up to current standards to ensure the safety of the drinking water.
Go ahead, you can ask her for me. Go ahead. I have some more.
The question I was going to ask you, you have to fix the wells, or you could have encroachment there, right? You have no choice but to fix the wells that are out there. Is that true or not?
If we get a Class 6 permit, but this is for a Class 5 and seismic, so is it okay if I speak towards the Class 6?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. For a Class 6 permit, that would be required that we would evaluate each and every old well in the lake and mitigate where necessary. But again, that is for Class 6, not Class 5 or seismic.
So you do not have to fix the existing wells now, as long as you stay with a Class 5, only for...
That is part of the Class 6 permit. A Class 5 is only to drill a monitor well.
But we just heard earlier that a Class 5 could be turned into a Class 6, and that's the question I'm asking.
Okay, I understand now, Councilman. So the wells we are proposing are strictly to remain Class 5 monitor and not to be turned into Class 6. They are simply for data collection. They are actually not designed ever to be Class 6, the two we are proposing. We cannot turn them into Class 6 later.
So you saying right now the Class 5 monitoring well would never be a Class 6?
All right, could you repeat the question? I couldn't quite hear.
What he's saying is that, so you're saying that a Class 5 well will never be a Class 6?
Well, the one they're doing.
The two we are proposing at the moment will never be Class 6 wells. They are simply for data collection so that we can best understand the geological constraints in the subsurface.
Got some
Basically,
questions
the way
too.
they're drilling it, it cannot be.
Yeah, correct, Councilman.
Yeah.
The way we are drilling and using this well, it could not, those wells could never become Class 6 wells. They cannot be used for CO2 injection. They are Class 5 only.
I don't want to interrupt anybody. I just want to let you know I got a question.
Hey, thank you for that answer. That clears up a lot on them.
Shane, do you want to?
No, I still got more. If you'll give me just a little bit more time.
Go ahead.
Almost there, guys.
Remember your question, Shane.
I'm trying to get answers for people.
Of course, Councilman, we understand.
The platform's going to be like all rig platforms.
Yes, they will be similar to an oil rig platform. They are wells, so they will need to have platforms as such.
Understand. Could you give me 100 feet, 200 feet?
Oh, much smaller.
Small, 50 feet?
The two monitor wells will be much smaller. I do not recall off the top of my head the exact dimension. 16 by 7, not hundreds. Those are for, again, I just want to be clear, this is only for the Class 5 wells. Just, we want to make sure we're
This wonderful information for everybody, right? Because we're not getting this information.
Right.
All right? I know we're supposed to have meetings, we could ask these questions, but sometimes
We
you don't have time.
appreciate your questions, so
All right.
yes.
All right. So that was the first page, so I'm going to move on to the second page.
Sure.
All right. One guy asked a while ago, what's going to be the I think he's from Bear Creek Hunting Club. He said, what is the income for the parish? What are you going to do for us?
Right.
When I know we're talking Class 5 wells, guys. Man, we need to know for me to give you a vote or not to vote for you. I need to understand what's in it for our parish.
Sir, I think, would you like, okay, I'm sorry. Do you mind if I pass the question to?
Sure.
Thank you.
I'll talk to the lawyer. She might have to defend me after this one.
The income for the parish, and I'm not a tax lawyer, but I did
Yes,
ask
ma'am.
the tax lawyer. And so the income for the parish would be annual property tax for any pipelines or injection or monitor wells that are within the parish. And also sales and use tax for the value of the materials for any test well or injection well or pipeline, regardless of where those materials were actually purchased. So either are located here, you'd get sales and use tax as well. And then the state of Louisiana, as y'all know, and I think Representative Sherman and others are looking at also introducing some legislation so that the local parish would get a percentage of the injection fee that's given to the state for any underground storage. For oil and gas leases right now that the state grants, the neighboring parish, or wherever the oil and gas lease is located, the local parish, even if it's on a state land or water bottom, gets 10% of the revenue, like the royalties, et cetera, generated from those oil and gas leases. And I think there will be legislation, I know the state supports it, to have a local share for underground storage as well.
Thank you for that answer. That answer your question? Good. I'm just trying to help you guys make sure we capture this before we move forward, okay? I'm coming, guys, almost there. Go ahead. I get confused like that too.
Make sure we have the best representative to answer your questions.
Oh, yes,
so.
ma'am. Thank you so much. I think that's going to be it for you, but Mr. Mack, I got a question for you.
Sure.
I'm on my second week
Yes, sir.
on this. I got your letter.
Yes, sir.
That you sent out. Who did that go to?
Corps of Engineer.
Just to the Corps of Engineers. Did it go to the other state lawmakers?
State lawmakers? No, I didn't send to any state lawmakers. Legislators such as myself?
I mean, your senators, representatives, whoever I vote for to put y'all in there, right? So I'm trying to figure out.
That's in a copy of it?
I haven't heard anything from any of our representatives was here the other night. I have Bill Cassidy. What's the other guy's name? I don't forget now. Get Mr. Garrett Graves, met with him. And Senator Kennedy. So I got a nice little letter from him today, but I think it's the same one everybody else is getting. It says, "Dear Mr. Gerald McMorris, this is moving forward."
I can't speak for your state representative, Mr. McMorris. I can always speak for, why I sent the letter. I sent the letter because I was contacted by Wildlife and Fisheries. They told me they were going to go ahead and issue their permit, but that the Corps had not issued their permit. And so knowing that you guys were coming to do the moratorium tonight, I felt somebody had to do something to keep, because once the Corps issued their permit, this moratorium's not worth anything. So I felt somebody had to do something, okay, to ask the Corps not to issue their permit to give you guys a chance to vet this moratorium and see if it can get through. That's why I wrote the letter to the Corps.
I appreciate you doing that.
Thank you. And to maybe compliment your question, and I'm not for these projects. I mean, everyone knows how adamantly I'm opposed to it. But I can guarantee you that if these projects do go forward, I am going to initiate what's called some trigger legislation. And what trigger legislation is that if this happens, then you trigger this effect. And that trigger effect would be some type of either storage or deposit fee to be directed to the parish and directed to those communities that these wells are going to affect. I'm against these projects. I'm going to do everything I can do to stop it. Part of the reason why I'm trying to help you guys support this moratorium is to give me time. I don't get to session until March. I cannot file any legislation until February, pre-file a bill. And so I've got to get there in March and perhaps do the things that I need to do to try to vet this thing at the state level the way it probably should have been vetted. And let me say this, and I know I'm getting on it, I think this is important. A lot of reps are getting beat up for voting for that Senate bill. But that legislation was passed in 2009 before any of the reps that were here 2 weeks ago passed. It's not really fair to beat those guys up for that.
That's correct.
And having said that, when this legislation came up, nobody knew they were coming to the lake. Nobody knew they were going to Holden. I can tell you most people probably thought it was going to the Gulf like Texas is doing. And that's part of the reason why I think the moratorium is important. Give OxyChem, give Air Products. Look, I'm just like you, G-Boy. I worked in those chemical plants, okay? The petrochemical industry is vital to Louisiana. We don't want to try to misrepresent that it's not. Most of the, just about 90% of the people in this room, if you don't work for a chemical plant, somehow or another, those benefits and those dollars do trickle down into what you do for a living. And so we can't, I'm not here to bash anybody. What I am here to say is if you issue this moratorium, it's going to give them more time to maybe explore some energy tax credits, green energy tax credits, so that they perhaps could move to the Gulf and do this pipeline and divert this from non-populated areas.
I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you.
And guys, I'm gonna ask y'all, I know y'all are eager to go. Can you give us some time? That's all we're looking for, a little bit of time. That's all we ask. Like I asked y'all last meeting, please help us out to help you. Hey, that's my bread and butter. I work here every day. We need your help on this one. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yes, I got something. Yeah. So I think there's something that we as a council need to really consider on this. You know, I think the could be a good thing, but we got to have a reason. We got to have a reason for this. And one of the reasons that I have is, has anybody on this council talked to any of the other parishes that represent that lake? Because what good is it going to do for us to stop it on our side if they don't stop it on their side? And they just still go tear the lake up. And then when they do start paying money out, if that happens, we get nothing and our lake still gets tore up. So we need to have these meetings with these other parishes. It needs to be a joint thing, or we're doing no good. So we definitely need to, as a group, we need to reach out to these other parishes and we need to have these conversations. G-Boy, you said you've talked to some of them?
Look at it like this. St. John, St. James, and Central Parish. What do?
Chemicals.
They chemicals. That's where we all work. Livingston Parish works in these parishes, correct? So that should answer y'all's questions right there.
Yep.
Shane
No,
had.
public meeting's closed, sir. No, sir. Public meeting's closed. Unless someone wants to put you up here. I mean,
I just had a couple of questions.
Go ahead.
We're talking about Class 5 moratorium here, and the activities associated with drilling, constructing, injecting into the Class 5. I got a question about the Class 5. If you drill the Class 5 well in Livingston Parish waters, and it's determined that that rock formation is not acceptable for the carbon sequestration, what's your plans for that Class 5? You just going to leave it and walk away?
Councilman Mack, our plan would be to safely plug and abandon it and cut it below the mud line so you could never see it again. And yes, we are prepared to walk away if the geology shows this area is not viable for sequestration.
I got another question. Thanks for answering that. If this whole project goes through for Class 6 wells, okay, you get permitted to do all of that, you're required to rework all those other wells. The Class 5 well is above the water level. The other wellheads that you rework, that'll all be resurfaced above the water level?
Councilman Mack, can I just make sure I clarify? You're talking about the old wells from oil and gas?
The old oil and gas
No.
wells, will they all be?
No.
They'll all be still on the mud line?
They'll be below the mud line. What we will do is just ensure that they've been plugged and abandoned correctly, and if they have not, we will do so ourselves. They will all remain below the mud line. You will not see them.
They don't want the old wells leaking, Jane.
Yeah, I know.
We don't either.
So that's all the questions. There was a gentleman that came and spoke, and he touched on a very important point, and to me, location is critical, okay? Location is critical. I'd prefer to see these injection wells moved to another location. Excuse me. If we can't stop this, okay, then to me, if we're required or forced to put these into the lake, then to me, the location in the lake is also critical. To me, this moratorium tonight, supporting this moratorium is going to give us time to learn and to study and to develop reasonable, good legislation to protect the people. So I'd ask you to support this. To the councilman.
I've got one thing on this, on the ordinance. You know, I had a problem with the wording. I talked to G-Boy about it. I think I might have talked to Jeff and Tracy a little bit, or Tracy. It says it's, the construction and drilling of Class 5 injection wells. Well, is a Class 5 an injection well? Yes, please.
So, Councilman Keene, that's a good question. And the reason it's considered as part of the injection wells is because under the federal EPA guidelines, it does fall under the underground injection control wells. However, you may not, a company or any entity may not inject CO2 into a Class 5 well unless later they got a Class 6 permit for it. But under Class 5, it is not, you cannot inject CO2 into that well.
Okay, thank you very much. That's what my question is, though. Is that the correct wording, Mr. Moody, in that, you know, if we're going to do a moratorium on it, we need to get it right, because if not, it's going to go to court and they're going to throw it out. You know, and that wouldn't accomplish anything.
I'm going to clarify something real quick before you answer that. It actually, you got to read the whole sentence. It says Class 5 injection wells and monitoring wells. So it covers both, and it's to my understanding that the Class 5 injection wells, they will be injecting some type of liquid substance as part of the testing process.
It cannot inject CO2.
I'm not talking about CO2.
Okay, just
I'm
making
talking
sure
about
everyone
some type
understands
of
that.
liquid substance as part of the testing process.
As part of the underground injection control wells, it can do a very minor amount for a small pressure test, but it's only a very minor amount. It cannot be, again, I want to be clear, only the Class 6 wells can be used for a sequestration program. And Class 5 wells, to be clear, can be used for other purposes as well, but for this one and for air products, the two we are saying is strictly data collection. Yeah, no CO2 injection, absolutely not.
You made a comment. You said that Class 5 wells can be re-permitted to Class 6. They would go through the same permit process. But they have to be constructed with Class 6 standards on the front end. Those two wells that y'all plan, y'all doing two, right?
There will be, we have proposed, though only started to permit one so far, to Class 5 wells that are not capable of Class 6 injection.
Okay, so y'all, the ones that y'all are requesting permitting, you're not gonna build the Class 6 standards. You're gonna build them at Class 5, so then they can never be upgraded.
Exactly. Those two can never be Class 6 wells. They are only there for data collection. We cannot go back. We cannot change them.
But you are at some point in time gonna pressure the ground. You're gonna frack the ground to figure, I thought y'all were gonna frack it to figure out how
No.
to frack.
Forgive me, Councilman, in no part of a sequestration program can you frack. We are not fracking.
I thought there was a pressure test early in the process that determined at what time, what level or pressure the ground fracked, and then y'all backed up for that when you injected the CO2. You have to determine at what level the ground fails, so you don't exceed that level. Was I incorrect? I thought that was part of that discussion at Carter Plantation that day.
That is one way to pressure the well, is to pressure test the well. But I want to be clear, that is not a frack program, which is very different. This is not, there are no Class 5, no Class 6, no well are we going to be true fracking.
Okay, so maybe I used the wrong term. You're gonna pressure the well to figure out the capability of the ground underneath it. Is that correct or incorrect?
Yes, what the pressure test is used for is to understand exactly, so how well things can seal. And if we found that it's not to our expectations, then we would walk away, but you need to do that pressure test to see that you understand it. That's part of the data, it's not the entire data collection, but it is part of it. It's a very small test, and it is very far below the ground and the groundwater.
Yep.
I'll vote.
I think so.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.
So a yes is for the moratorium, right?
Yes for the moratorium. No is against. We had a motion by Mr. Delat, correct?
Yes.
Second by Mr. Mack. Ms. Teal, well, would you poll the council?
Mr. Talbert?
No.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Mack?
Yes.
Mr. Girlinghouse?
No.
Mr. Ard?
Yes.
Mr. McMorris?
Yes.
Mr. Delat?
Yes.
Passes.
Okay. Item 20. We're going to skip down to item 20. Item 20, inequality of the sound system that is in place and request measures to invoke enhancement or repair. Mr. Lapp, I can tell you, this is the best it sounds in the 7 years that I've been here.
So I just wanted to, all right, whoa, wait. So they came in last night, they did some kind of little temporary thing, they were trying to pick the volume up in here. But I spoke to the people that take care of all this for us 2 months ago. They have since ordered $60,000 worth of equipment. But just like the entire world, we're all waiting on orders. We're waiting. So as soon as everything gets here.
One day when the chip comes in.
Yeah. As soon as it gets here, they're gonna fix it. We got monitors that's going up. We gotta get to where all this stuff is compatible. The reason we have these particular microphones was due to COVID, so that if we needed to spread out in a room and have a meeting, we could do that. So now, because we have these, they're trying to make them compatible, get the matrix all working. I mean, they are working hard to get this, and to be clear, we do not own this. This is not our equipment. This is the TV Productions equipment. So if we get to the point where we don't own it, it shuts down the TV. And then we can put a sound system in here that everybody can hear in this room. And it will no longer be broadcast. So they're doing everything they can. You got to be careful if the noise gets too loud in here, it messes up the volume on the TV. And it messes everything up. So that's when we're turning it up in here, we're making it worse on the TV. Their job is to get it on the TV where the people that can't get here get an opportunity to see our meetings. So, but I was assured that $60,000 had been spent, so.
Good job, Jeff.
Thank
Good?
you.
He's fixing it.
All right.
We
All
don't
right.
need to do nothing then.
All right, I'm going on vacation, people.
All right.
No, we
back.
skipped around.
We're coming back to it.
We're going back to
Going to
it.
the bathroom?
No.
Matter of fact,
Go to 14.
We're going to 14.
Let's go get back in order.
It's 14. You gonna do 14 next?
hey, I got to see this license.
You good? Hey,
See y'all later.
have a good time, bro.
See y'all later.
All right. Item 14, Grants Department. Adopt a resolution for Community Water Enrichment Program, which is CWEF, fiscal year 2022-23, application submittal. And
Buttercup good? Oh, we ain't got a quorum if Randy goes PB.
just the one, oh, we. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, that's. Well, if we got now.
Shane can't, he's weak. He's the youngest one on here, can't make it.
Well, all right, so I guess we can continue. You guys, I swear, killing me.
I'll make a motion on 4A,
Yeah.
14A.
I second it.
I'll make a motion on 14B.
Yeah, I think this is just.
It is, it's just the
you know,
typical,
the typical stuff that we do.
And it's the water deal and
Yeah.
the LGAP. It's the LGAP deal, so.
Yeah, so 14A is adopted, so we got a motion for 14A from Randy, second from Gary.
Whatever, let's do it.
Any opposed?
no.
So ordered.
Make a motion on 14B.
We read it, adopt a resolution for local government assistance program, which is the LGAP fiscal year 2022-23 application submittal. This is the submittal of an
I
application.
second Gary's motion.
Motion by Mr. Talbert, second by Mr. Delap. Any opposed? So ordered. All right. I'm not doing 15 without more people in this room, so
Okay, so,
they're ashamed, so we're good.
You mean more council people?
Yeah,
we're gonna have a full.
we're gonna have who we have.
Okay, you want me to come sit over
Are
there?
we missing anybody?
No, don't
Yeah.
sit over there.
You need me, bud?
Yeah, I'm gonna sit over there.
Let me get you.
Well, actually, I don't. You're good.
7 is you, right?
17 is me, but I can't, I can do so. So here it is.
You think we just went in there?
You go ahead. Items.
Ask Caroline to read, or Sandy read by title over the public hearing. and then I'll make a
Item
motion.
17 is a public hearing and adoption of LP ordinance number 22-50. I'm sorry,
What's DPW surplus equipment?
22-47.
22-47, adoption of zoning map for districts, council district 7, which is my district. I need to open the public hearing and read by title, please.
This is proposed ordinance 22-47. It's an ordinance to certify the official zoning map of the unincorporated areas of District 7 in the parish of Livingston entitled Livingston Parish Zoning Map, Council District Number 7, referred to in Chapter 117 of the Livingston Parish Code of Ordinances.
Thank you. We're now in a public hearing. Any comments on this item? Okay. Did you want to comment on?
Ralph Burgess, 30562 Burgess Road. Actually, I knew y'all were working on these maps. I didn't know they were already ready to come to a hearing for it. So, we currently have, between my father and I, we have over 80 acres inside your district, and cousins next to us that have over 300 acres. So, one thing I'd like to look at is what our zoning for our proper parcels are before.
Okay.
That's the only concern I would have on it.
Well, as you know, all these maps are going to be a work in progress.
Right.
Zoning maps are never done.
Right, I've done them myself, so
yeah,
I
so-
totally understand.
But you can just get with me, and to be clear on all these things, all of them. So we're going to have a period, at least I know in my district, and so I think it's for everyone. It's going to be pretty much, you don't have to go through the process or pay until December 31st of 2023.
Yeah.
So it's a simple matter, you know,
Yeah.
whatever your zone, and if I had to guess, and this is a pure guess, all right, so because I don't know.
I know it'd be a
It's a
pure
pure
guess.
guess, you're probably rural, but you might be agricultural, I don't know, something like that. I'm just just to be honest and upfront, I zone pretty strict, because,
Right.
you know,
If you look at
easier
the-
to change going that direction than it is to go the other.
Yeah, if you look at a map of that area right there, it looks like Greenwood Park.
Yeah.
Because we're the largest landowners down there.
But, you know, and that's the whole thing. I know a lot of people didn't have a chance to look at it, and it wasn't, I mean, I had a meeting, but, you know, everybody doesn't catch all the stuff that, clearly, and you're one of them.
Yeah, clear- yeah.
It
I tried to
was,
follow it, but I just
you know, it was
missed it.
weird because I had an article in the Advocate, and, you know.
We had a meeting right here.
We did it, but, you know, and I understand that a lot of people aren't going to see it.
Right.
But, you know, I'm very open to, you know, to the property and how it goes, so.
Oh, we're not opposed to it. I just
Yeah.
wanted, you know, just a clarification that
Yeah.
we would have time for.
Gonna have plenty of time and.
Rezone it.
Yeah, oh, yeah, and
That type
it's
of deal.
free, and, you know, just come to us, and it won't even go, I don't think it's not even going to go through planning.
Tracy, I thought we bypassed planning commission on that.
Yeah, we're bypassed, it doesn't even go until December of 2023.
Right.
It just goes straight to us.
Right.
So,
Okay,
that, you know,
let's get your councilman, he puts it on the
Yeah.
agenda and fix it.
No problem.
Yeah.
No problem at all.
Unless he doesn't want to fix it. I mean, you know what I'm talking about, if, you know, like
Yeah.
somebody wants to do something that's really
Yeah.
out of whack, you know?
Yeah, and you know, you roll up with something craziness, yeah, we'll have a problem, but
Yeah, I know.
other than that, you should be fine, so.
No,
you know,
like I said, it's just, we haven't heard anything about it. I try to check all that.
Yeah, and we can take a look at it at the end of.
It's not a big, not a
Okay.
big deal.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Do I have, any comments from the
I'll make a
council?
motion for you.
Motion by Mr. Talbert,
Second then.
second by Mr. Second by Mr. Moore. Would you poll the council, please?
Mr. Talbert?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr. Mack?
Yes.
Mr. Girlinghouse?
Yes.
Mr. Art is absent now, and Mr. McMorris.
Yes.
Mr. Delap is absent.
Yeah.
Conveniently.
PP.
I'll remember that. I'm going to step out on him. Thank you, gentlemen.
Passes.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome, sir. Hey, we've been working on this a long time.
You worked hard. Man, it's like going into junior high, I think, apparently. A long amount of time was spent on that. So, okay. We did 15, we did 16. 17. We're now airing a public hearing. Public hearing adopt for LP ordinance number 22-50, declaration of DPW surplus equipment. This is just equipment that, that DPW has that they can put out for auction. Chances are good if DPW's had it and they're getting rid of it, you probably don't want it, but they're going to put it out for options. So.
It'd be woe out.
Oh, yeah. So any comments from the audience?
Did you open it?
He did.
Yeah, I did, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Anything from the public? Okay, public hearing is now closed. Councilman comments?
Is there anything worth keeping?
Apparently not. That's why they're selling it.
We got ball parts.
Dude, I've been asking Mr. Sam for 7 years, if, when you put something on there, he goes, we just gonna, rather than sell it for scrap, we're gonna see if we can get something else, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Okay, well, we just make it for equipment, so.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
you might could get them guys to bid on it, if you go look at it.
Yeah, we have money, yeah.
Oh, you don't have no money? Can't donate it, I don't think.
all right, I need a motion.
Can I read it
I'll
by
make
title
it.
real fast?
Yeah, read by title.
And this is proposed ordinance 22-50, an ordinance to declare certain movable property equipment no longer needed for public purposes, provide for its sale by internet sales and/or public auction, and provide for terms of sale.
All right. Was that a motion, Mr. Delap?
Yes.
Motion by Mr. Delap.
We gotta eat. Oh, we got all that now.
What are we doing?
I need a second.
Second.
Second by Mr.
That's on the surplus?
Mr. Mack, yeah.
Yeah, let's get rid of that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed.
You gotta quit
All right.
changing the way you do things. You're gonna make us confused.
Item 18. We're now entering a public hearing. Ms. Andrews, read by title.
This is proposed ordinance 22-51. It's an ordinance to amend Chapter 125 of the Code of Ordinances of Livingston Parish subdivision regulations, Article 5, subdivisions with improvements, and Article 9, wetlands as follows.
Okay. Comments from the audience, from the public? Public hearing. Comments from the council?
Need a motion?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Delap.
We voting on the introduction? No, we skipped
This is a
that.
public hearing, man.
Public
I'm
hearing,
a
the
quick-
last-
We did that like 3 weeks ago.
Oh, I got you. That's on those. Subdivision modifications we talked about. Okay.
Needs a second.
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Mack. All opposed? So ordered. Item 19, introduction of an ordinance, amend section 125-1, definition of subdivision, part 4, by removal of verbiage, and parish council, quote, and parish council, recommended by the Livingston Parish Planning Department. This is me. So this is just a little maintenance and cleanup. If you gentlemen, I don't know if y'all looked at this. but
You
if
need me to
go-
make a motion, or does it have to be?
Yeah, just gonna explain it real quick. We're just clearing it up. Originally, in the language, it said it had to go, but then it says it also has to go to the parish council. But by the way we've rewritten 125, we don't want that, so we're just striked and parish council to take us out of it.
We moved the determination on the wetlands thing down into the wetlands area.
Right. Yes.
It was just housekeeping.
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
All right. Motion by Mr. Delap. Second by Mr. Talbot. All opposed? So ordered. All right.
I'll second Scooter's motion.
We're on 21. Adopt a resolution to authorize a waiver for section 125-9 submittal to allow the re-subdivision of property in a named subdivision known as Magnolia Estates for McLess Investments located in Suzie Circle.
You skipped 19 on the introduction.
No, he did that. You
I did that.
introduction.
We just did that.
Okay.
I
I'm
need to
looking
read
for
it
it.
and
I'm just-
assign a
So-
number and set the public hearing.
Oh, all right. Let's do that again. It's okay.
This will be
Read by title.
proposed ordinance 22-52. It's an ordinance to amend Chapter 125 subdivision regulations, Article 1 in general by amending Section 125-1 definitions that defines the term subdivision, Part 4 of the Code of Ordinances of Livingston Parish, and the public hearing will be at 6 p.m. on October 27th.
Okay. So let's do that again.
You
Motion.
through reading on 21?
No,
Oh, you
we're going to
gotta-
slow everything down, and we're going to do this right.
What's the introduction?
We're back on the,
Yeah.
so you had a motion by Mr. Delat, correct? No, who made the motion? On 21. We're going to do it, no, on the one she read by title. We should redo that,
It's
right, Sandy?
introduction. We don't need
It's an introduction.
We don't do,
It could be either way.
Okay, so now we're on 21. Adopt a resolution to authorize a waiver of Section 125-9 submittals to allow the re-subdivision of property in a named subdivision known as Magnolia Estates for McLess Industries or Investments located on Suzie Circle in Council District 3 by combining original lots of 295 and 296 to be known as Lot 295A. Mr. Keene.
motion.
Second.
Oh, Randy, he beat
No.
me.
Motion by Mr. Keene, second by Mr. Delat. Any comments from the audience? Any opposed?
Why did they get the paper twice?
So ordered.
What is this?
Number 22, adopt a resolution to authorize a waiver for Section 125-37 requirements for a minor subdivision to allow a 15-foot servitude in place of the required 60-foot servitude for Monica Martins located at Louisiana Highway 449 and Council District 1 for the division of Tract C-1 of the Shalimar property into Tract C-1A and C-1B located in Section 20 TS6 R4E. And this was Mr. Ard. And
I'll make that motion.
He didn't,
Oh,
he
he told
didn't
you
get
to?
with me on this, so.
Mr. Hard told Mr.
Me?
You.
Yeah, he wasn't in favor of this.
Oh, he wasn't? Okay.
Listen,
We better defer it
He
then.
said that there was an alternative route or another place. He just felt, here's the deal. The driveway is a driveway. However, there's so much land behind the driveway. Mr. Ard's concerned that the 15-foot servitude could be converted.
Okay.
So he wants it to be 60. That's what Mr. Ard
He wants to
said.
go, not do 60, so
Not do
any,
50.
okay, well, there you go.
Ralph Burgess with Civil Design Construction. I'm the
Mr.
principal surveyor
Burgess.
on the project. We have, this is proposed because of the existing requirement, or not requirement, but the existing orientation of the house that's built on the property. They already utilize this driveway for ingress and egress, and that's what it's dedicated for, only ingress and egress to these two tracks. The 60-foot cannot go in here. I know you have a 60-foot ordinance. It cannot go in here because of the pond that's across. And also, this is for a clarification of a predial servitude that's already established by the use of the house that's adjacent to the driveway that's facing this driveway.
What stops the servitude from being in the pond? What stops the servitude from crossing the
You
pond?
can't, the pond is an encumbrance onto the servitude. You cannot improve it or be able to utilize the pond for egress and ingress across the pond, unless you've got a boat.
I agree with that.
Well, but I look at it and there's plenty of room to make a 60-foot servitude.
No, because that's pond.
That's
Yeah,
pond. When
well,
you get
well,
you get to the edge
okay,
of that
well,
pond, you
from
hit
here
that
to there,
house.
make it 60 feet from the pond on.
So can you, so Ralph, there's no way to make it 60 up to the driveway at C1B and then make it 60 on the other side by the pond to the end of the driveway?
We try to put the 60 in there to give it the proper width to get through there, and it's too tight. There's actually, what I don't show on here is a line of trees also right adjacent to that pond.
I don't
Okay,
know.
so here's the deal.
I mean, and I'll,
Okay, so you want to make a 15-foot servitude?
that's it.
Okay, but you know what the issues are that we've been having with these small servitudes, and Mr. Ard's in favor. So if you make a 60-foot servitude that's got trees in it, does it really matter until it needs to be utilized at a later date?
By your ordinance, it's gotta be cleared.
I understand.
I understand
what
where
I'm
you come
saying. So
from.
but my point is, if you can't get a 15-foot servitude approved, wouldn't you be better off to put a 60-foot servitude in there that had trees in it, that if you wanted to utilize it at a later date in the back, you could then come clear it, and that waiver would probably be easier to get than a 15-foot servitude waiver. That's the only thing I'm trying to point out.
And I want
No, and I understand where you're coming from with it. I really do. We have the acreage and the frontage that we require by the minor subdivision ordinance, okay? The reason why we requested to do the 15-foot servitude is that we requested that by the attorney for the property, to do the 15, because he considered it a perennial servitude, because it was already being used. Only needed to use what he needs to use to go in and out of the property. I fully understand where you're coming from with it. I really do. But this is a request from our client to do this, because they do not want to do anything else.
We can vote on it, but if the chair,
Wait a second, y'all
the councilman
y'all
don't
want to defer this for 2 weeks, get the letter from your client?
Yeah, that's
Get
fine.
the attorney to just
think
write
that's
us a
gonna
letter
change anything,
explaining what he wants to do, and then we'll get Mr. Moody to look at it.
Yeah, I'll see what,
got a
I mean,
question,
I'll
too.
even discuss it with them about doing the 60. But I know when we put the 60 on there, because they wanted to split the driveway to ensure maintenance on the driveway, is that it gets into the house.
Can't do it. I mean, I can see you can't do it on, I mean, I understand that. It's gotta go.
Yeah, there's an issue there. It's a clearance issue, just be honest.
I'll make a
Mr. Orr's
motion
not
we
here, and I
defer it
think
for
it's a-
2 weeks.
I think that we defer it 2 weeks, get the letter from your client.
Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, fine. I can talk to Mr. Jeff
If
about
not,
it.
I'm gonna vote
Randy,
against
make
it.
a motion for deferral on the second. I mean, that way, Randy, that way you try to solve the problem, and Jeff can address it
Understood.
when he gets back.
Motion deferred by Mr. Delat, second by Mr. Talbert. Anyone else? All in favor, say aye. All opposed?
Chairman.
Yes.
And you don't?
No, I'm just kidding. No, I think that'd be a good idea.
All right. Item 3. Adopt a resolution to authorize a waiver for Section 125-3, prohibitions and restrictions for use of, restrictions of use to allow the placement of a mobile home in a named subdivision, whereby also authorizing a waiver for Section 125-9 submittals to subdivide in a named subdivision known as D'Angelo Estates for Sam Stafford located in Council District 1, approval being contingent that only 2 lots and 2 mobile homes will be placed.
He was okay with that, you said?
I mean, yeah, he told me he was okay with this, but is anyone here to speak on this?
If you want, I can make a motion if they say.
Well, look,
could-
I think the original call was by if I'm not mistaken, I think the real estate agent called me, and then I referred it to Jeff because it was actually in his district. And I think in our discussion, he didn't have an issue with it, so.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Motion by Mr. Delat, second by Mr. Talbert. Any further discussion? Any opposed? So ordered.
I'll second Mr. Scooter's motion, 24.
Slow down.
All you did
You
was
just tried to
hold
show
on.
me, just my first time back. It's been 5 years. Give me a break here. Adopt a resolution to authorize a waiver for Section 125-3, prohibitions and restrictions of use to allow the placement of a mobile home for Joe Cofield located in a named subdivision known as Daniel Estates, addressed at 32351 Dunn Road, Dental Springs, Louisiana, Council District 3, Maurice Scooter King.
Trailer on each side of it. I make a motion to accept.
Trailer's been there?
Oh, yeah, they've been there.
Any comments from the audience? First motion by Mr. Keynes, second by Mr. McMorris. Any opposed? So ordered. All right, 25. Adopt a resolution to authorize a waiver for Section 125-12 requirements for minor subdivision for the number of lots on a servitude for Wyatt Pearson located in Louisiana Highway 1063 in Council District 9, Shane Mack.
Yeah, this is in my district team. So I'm in favor of this waiver contingency upon, how you say it?
Continue.
Contingency upon the lots, the property owner, the private property owner has to put restrictions on the property, not allowing the lots to be re-subdivided,
Ever?
correct? And he has to put property restrictions on it saying it's for single-family dwelling homes.
That's what you.
It's already been communicated, the property owner's totally okay with that, and that's why they're not here.
I don't know if you can do it forever.
Well, until it's changed.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if he puts restrictions on the property, yeah, it's here, we'll show it, we'll look at it. If he puts restrictions on the property, saying it can't be re-subdivided, he can do that legally. He can also put restrictions on the property saying that it's for single-family dwelling homes, then I'm okay with giving the waiver. So
This will be fine. Your zoning map's in place, so this will be, once you put that
well,
in
but even the
place.
zoning map, it's 10-acre lots. So this is going to wind up being 14 or 15 total lots on a servitude.
Okay.
And it's 10-acre lots, and then it's one 20-acre lot in the very back, and he's planning on building him a house there.
So make your motion, bud.
Yeah, that's the motion.
I second it.
Any comment from the audience? Motion. Mr. Mack, second by Mr. Delat. All opposed? So ordered. All right, item 26, adopt a resolution to request Lynchburg Drive be added for consideration to the priority road list and 2022 road program located in Council District 2. Mr. Gary Talbert.
So Lynchburg was on the priority road list, and part of Lynchburg was done. And somehow Lynchburg got removed from the priority road list, and there is a long section left to do. Billy, the estimate was 130, 140. Mr. Ricks has said, okay, because basically when we leave there sometime in November, everything in Crestwood will have been done except that section of Lynchburg that got removed from the road list. So the cost of moving it back in there didn't make sense not to do it this year. So, but it's not on the priority road list. So the motion has to, we got to put it on the priority road list for consideration and put it on the overlay list at the same time and vote on it. And then Mr. Rick said that they can cover the overage on the road budget. Is that about correct?
So there's money available for
There's
us.
money
So I'll
available.
second
Got
that.
no problem with that.
So that's the motion.
And I second it.
I already did that.
Oh, you did?
Comments from the
Okay.
audience? Motion by
Go to
Mr.
second
Talbert,
it.
second by Mr. King. Any opposed? So ordered. Item 27,
I'll make a motion that we,
adopt, hold up.
We ain't got the dates marked down here yet.
Adopt a resolution to reschedule the 2022 December regular meetings of the Livingston Parish Council due to Thanksgiving and Christmas holidays. Basically,
Hey,
if I remember right, we're gonna do it the first and third.
Okay, can I make a request? Sure. I ain't gonna, if we move it to the first and third, I'm gonna miss the December meeting. Cause I scheduled, because I looked at, I'm scheduled on an out-of-town trip.
we don't need it.
So is it possible to move the 22nd meeting to the 21st
You talk about in November?
in December?
Make it a
Basically,
Wednesday.
the meeting on the 22nd of December is because Christmas Eve falls on a Saturday, and we're already off on Friday. Thursday is declared the Christmas Eve holiday by the parish. So if we moved it to the 21st, we could leave the 8th meeting alone and move one day, just move it up a day in December. So far as Thanksgiving, we could do the problem with Thanksgiving is they shut the parish down for 2 or 3 days before Thanksgiving, so we can't do it in the month of November.
So we can't move it to the first and third of November. which
No,
is-
we can in the November.
And November.
But we can't make the same adjustment in November that we make in December because we shut down so much of that week before Thanksgiving.
Well, I'm good with it.
I'm good with it.
I don't get to take vacations like
Hey, we
all
need
you
to help
rich
each
guys,
other
so, I
out.
mean, I'll
Make a
be
motion.
here.
Make a motion.
I'm ready to make this.
So that's
I'll make a
meeting for
motion to move-
December?
I'll make a motion to move the meeting to the first and third Thursdays of November.
Okay.
Leave it at the second Thursday in December and move it to the fourth Wednesday in December.
And I don't have a problem, because I'm gonna be going elk hunting on that second one, third one, that's up to y'all, y'all can have it.
Hang on, say it
Is
again,
it the
Gary.
third
For-
Wednesday
just-
or the fourth?
The fourth Wednesday.
Fourth Wednesday, which is the 21st, you said?
Well, let me see, I might have flipped the calendar the wrong way, let me look.
That's third Wednesday.
It's the third Wednesday, Sandy, the 21st.
Got it.
Third Wednesday, the 21st, I'm sorry.
Y'all okay with that?
So you're gonna do it the 1st and 3rd
So,
of December?
Yeah, and no, first and third of November, and then December, we're just gonna move it up a day.
Okay,
I mean, you
We're
can
gonna do
say
first and
that.
third, but we're gonna move it up a day.
okay. I'm okay with that. So, what?
Well, G-Boy brought up a point. He said, why don't we just have one in December? Is it because of the
No, we
budget?
gotta introduce the budget
That's why.
we've got to adopt the budget on the first meeting of December. And we can't adopt it on the second, so we gotta adopt it at the meeting before the last meeting.
gotta
So
have
if
it.
we did, we'd have to adopt it in the last meeting of November.
I'm ready.
And it's usually not ready.
I'm ready.
All right,
Can I
so,
just state what we're doing?
Sure,
Just to
go ahead.
clarify? Okay, we're moving the November regular meetings from its regular spot on the 10th of November to the 3rd of November. And then we rescheduling the 24th of November to the 17th.
Right.
And then we're keeping December 8th as it is. And then we're moving the December 22nd meeting to December 21st. And I'll promulgate it as many times as I can and in the official journal and
that's
stop
fine.
notices and post it.
They'll be fine. And if they're not, they should have been here.
Usually nobody's here at them
Yeah.
meetings. It's just,
It just seems like every year we have that, we have the problem with this.
that's one where we'll lift
Did we
the
vote on that
moratorium.
yet?
No, it was
Okay.
Mr. Talbert did the.
Yeah, Mr. Talbert made the motion. Is it Mr. Delat? Seconded it. All opposed? So ordered.
Motion.
Yep. All right, so,
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Yeah.
So, committee reports, we didn't have an ordinance committee. They never have a finance committee.
We're gonna have one in
So,
December, right?
District
No-
attorney.
November? Okay. Oh, it's October, huh?
The district attorney left
He
already.
ain't here.
So, motion to adjourn.
I so
We
made.
already
He
did.
had to go pick up somebody at the airport.
What's that?
We did it a while back.
Which one
It was
was
the
it?
zoning one. wasn't it?
Yeah,
He got up and spoke on it.
For a long time.
yeah. Yeah.
It,
We
you
can-
just reiterate what we said, that you got it till the end
Well,
of
I'll just tell
23 to,
Yeah, I'll just tell her, just give me just a second, I'll talk to you about it. So,
Oh, yeah, you
motion
go.
to adjourn?
yes.
Motion
You
by
got it.
Mr. King, second by Mr. McMorris. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right.
Jesus.